Hello, I'm Colin Liddell, author of Pitlochry A History, with another wee tale from my book. It was in 1999 when an elderly gentleman called David Cron came into my office, unannounced, to tell me all about an unexploded German mine which had been dropped by an enemy plane somewhere above Edredar at the time of the German bombing of Clydebank. In April 1943, David Cron was a lieutenant and was also the local ordnance officer, and so it was he who was duly ordered to locate and detonate the mine. In due course, he found the mine above Edredar, and he screwed off the nose cone so that he could set his explosives inside. His unit decided to shelter behind a handy stone dike, only some 15 metres from the newly set explosives. The plunger was pressed. Nothing happened. As sometimes occurred, there was a short circuit, and this was soon sorted. The plunger was pressed again, and this time the whole wood went up. Trees tossed up in the air like matchsticks, soaring over the heads of the unit, as were tons of earth, rocks, and vegetation. The unit had been far too close, well within the blast zone in fact, but it was their foolhardiness which was precisely what saved them. Any further away and they'd have been pulverised by the falling debris. They emerge, temporarily deafened but otherwise unscathed, to be confronted by a huge crater. If one goes there now, that crater is like a small loch. The unit thought that everyone would be very cross about it, and so they repaired hastily to the distillery at Edredar to take some comfort. As a result of this debacle, Lieutenant Cron anticipated the worst from his superiors, and indeed he was summoned to see them in Perth, where 4 days later he was promoted. Shortly after telling this tale in my book, a local came up to me to say that, as a very small boy during the war, he'd always dreamt of being in the RAF, and he'd gone so far as to adapt his wooden go-kart to be like a bomber, cutting a hole in the bottom of it as a make-believe bomb site. On the day that Lieutenant Cron's mine exploded at Edredar, this small boy was on his go-kart in Pitlochry, head down over his makeshift bomb site. And he had the shock of his life when he heard the explosion of the real bomb. So much so that he rushed home shouting to his mother, "It wasn't me! It wasn't me!" Finally, now an old man, this local said to me, "Och, and I'm sure you'd like to know that I have the nose cone of that very mine. It's lying in my garden. It's now full of plants." Thank you.